Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mind Medicine Circle, and today's video is going to be kind of interesting. So I let you guys know that I'm going to be sharing my story with you throughout my social media accounts. Because the video is too big, I will be posting 3 different parts to it. So one week I will be posting the first part, one week the second, and another week the third. So just bear with me. But I am just going to dive right into the story. So things started for me about kindergarten, mainly because in preschool I actually got racially bullied, and this would continue to go on for years and years, but it was really bad in preschool and kindergarten. And because of this bullying, I would start to react in irrational ways, which did raise concerns for my parents. They did take me to the doctors eventually, and they did diagnose me with ADD, but that wasn't enough to really cause concern for the future mental health conditions I would be diagnosed with. Um, so, excuse me, for a couple of years it wasn't too bad, but when we hit 4th grade, that's when it all started for me. I started to overthink things a lot. I started catastrophizing, so I'd make situations worse than they actually were. I do want to quickly mention that there are some sensitive parts in my story, and to those who are mentally vulnerable right now, I just want to let you know that it is not too bad and it's not graphic at all, but it's just a part of my journey, and it's imperative to the story, and it's how you can better understand how I went through my way to heal. And just know that I am here to fully support you, and that I am only here to inspire you and to shine a light on the things that are not too often talked about, because it is something that is very serious. So junior high school was really hard for me, especially 7th grade year, because I'm just trying to find a place to fit in. I'm sure a lot of you can relate. The friends that I hung out with in 6th grade, a lot of them actually went to different middle schools or junior high schools, so they never really followed me. And a lot of the friends that I tried to connect with in 7th grade, they were already friends before. And so when I was friends with them, it would only be for like a couple of weeks, and then I'd move on to a different friend group because either I didn't relate to them in any way, or I just didn't fit into their clique. And that was really hard. And so, because of that, it caused problems with me, and I felt like I had to draw attention to myself in unhealthy ways to make people notice me and want to be friends with me. So it meant that I would just make up lies or make up a dramatic situation in order to attract people. And little did I know that this was actually a huge trait of a mental health condition that I'd be diagnosed with later. And this would be a way of me almost crying out for help, because I didn't know that I was mentally getting worse. So now we move on to the 2nd semester of 7th grade, and things just slowly start to get worse for me mentally, and I start secluding myself. I'm in my bedroom probably 19 out of the 24 hours a day. I barely talk to my parents. I barely talk to any friends. I lock myself in my bedroom. And that's it. And then my grades were getting worse, and I just wasn't doing well. And to me, I actually thought that was normal. Well, at the end of the school year, there was an unfortunate fight between me and my mom, and that fight said a lot about what I was going through. And because of that, my mom took me back to the doctor, and we described the situation. And odd enough, they did not diagnose me with clinical depression at the time, even though that fight and what happened during that fight was really bad. And so they're like, we'll just change the medications, we'll make your anxiety medication stronger. It really didn't help. It was like a temporary fix. So this temporary fix did last like almost the entire year of 8th grade. And 8th grade was better for me because I did find a good friend group where I felt like I was actually valued. I did have a best friend at the time, and everything seemed to be dandy. My grades were a tiny bit better, still not the best. And it seemed like at the time my mental health was doing fine. So 9th grade was unfortunately one of the worst years of my life. the beginning of ninth grade, it seemed like it was all good. I was actually doing musicals at the time, so I was a musical theater student, and doing plays was actually an outlet for me. And I had gotten a lead role in a play the beginning of my ninth grade year. And I found a new group of friends, of course, and they were like the popular kids. And so I felt really great because I was a lead role and then I was also hanging with the popular kids. So what could get better than that? Well, you know, I realized it, but I didn't acknowledge it at the time that I was having a chronic feeling of emptiness, and I was like, I'm not sure what to do with it. And the thought of ending my life would vaguely come up. And again, I wouldn't really act on it, but it was just there. And I think it was because I still was trying to find a way to fit in, and I knew that something was going on, but there wasn't really a solution to that. And on top of that, nobody really talked about mental health at my school during the time. So near the end of the production for my play, there was an unfortunate suicide from one of the students there, and that did trigger me a little bit. And actually, I am getting my timeline wrong. This happened in 8th grade. Sorry. So in 8th grade was when it happened, and that caused some of those feelings of emptiness and uncertainty and wanting to end my life to happen. Or I guess it just kind of made things a little bit worse. But near the end of this production, I was like, so I don't know what I'm going to do with my life because I am not going to be a lead role. And I, also the friendships in this friend group that I was in, they were also unstable, and I kind of just knew in my heart that they wouldn't last, and so that was bothering me too at the time. And so when the production did end, of course, I started feeling this chronic feeling of emptiness, and I'd go back to secluding myself in my bedroom. And then that's when I did realize that I did want to end my life, and I finally came to terms with it, and that was a really scary thing. And so I finally reached out to my best friend who lived across the street from me at the time. I mean, we had grown up together, and I really trusted him. And so I called him up and I said, hey, we need to meet at my neighbor's basketball court because I need to tell you something. So we met up and I told him everything, and then of course I told him, don't tell my parents. And he did the exact opposite, and let me tell you, because he made that choice, that saved my life. I will never forget, the actions that he went to make sure that I was still alive and here today.